everyone. Welcome back to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 102. I am your host, as always, Nathaniel Rumpeljans, and I'm joined to my left and your right by
Eric Moore.
And we have a patron on this week, just like we did last week. This is patron Rob. How is it going, man?
Howdy. Doing pretty good.
That's awesome to hear. If you guys would like to be on an episode of the podcast yourself, you can go become a $20 backer on Patreon. We still have some slots available. You get to sign up basically at the very beginning of the month, and starting next month, you'll be able to actually help select some of the topics for that week. Not all of them, but probably one or two for sure. That being said, let's just get into today's topics. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast today, or maybe it won't be, because you say that and then it just goes on and on.
We always say it, and we always go off topic.
But we have less topics this week on purpose because I am having lots of issues editing. We had the 2-hour podcast last week for episode 101, and it took my computer 16 hours to render it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I've had issues galore. Sometimes everything just works. Sometimes it doesn't. I basically can't do any fancy edits right now. Like, it's funny. People this week have been like, oh, man, look how professional Prime News looks, right? Like, the last couple episodes. And they're only saying that because at the very beginning of the episode, I put up this little image thing that has timestamps for each topic, right? And it looks super clean cut. It's just a blank image. I'm not doing anything with it. There's no effect on it. There's no fade in. Yeah. There's no fade out. Because anytime I put an effect on anything, my computer just goes boom.
Nice.
So I don't know what's going on. Basically, we are in super basic Nintendo Prime until I get some new hardware up in here. But that's all right. We'll just live with what we have. Get into our first topic here. This is actually hot off the press. I should be making a video about this right now instead of talking about it on the podcast because this is the kind of video that, I don't know, you get 30,000 views on. But you know what? Maybe we'll get 30,000 views of the podcast.
Probably not.
No. So a Nintendo Direct rumor has cropped up. Essentially, the rumor is that there will be a Nintendo Direct in April. This is the first time we have heard of any possible Direct happening in April, and it is coming from a source that was 100% right in leaking the Pokemon starters for the, Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it comes from someone who at least knew something. And they claim that's like someone who works at Nintendo America, in addition to some ambassadors. I don't know how an ambassador would have any information because I could have been an ambassador, and they don't just tell you things. But one of the sources is someone who apparently works at Nintendo of America. So that being said, we just had one, like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do we expect out of an April? Because this has to be the last one before E3.
You figure.
There's a lot of games coming in April. Of course, you say that, and when you look at the list, it's actually just a lot of ports.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of games. Besides Mortal Kombat 11. That's brand new. But I can't imagine it's just to talk about the April games. I guess it could be, but that would be kind of lame. What do you guys... Hey, let's start with Rob, actually. What do you want out of a Nintendo Direct in April?
I don't know. Devil May Cry 5, maybe?
Nice.
That's it, though. That would just be the whole Direct for you. Just Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, I don't know what else they could introduce right now.
Well, Animal Crossing. It's announced. Now, haven't seen it.
Yeah, true. Metroid. No, we're not going to see Metroid Prime.
Yeah, they just restarted development on that. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be there. Think about all the games coming this year that we just still haven't really seen. They have all these games like, it's coming summer, coming second half 2019, coming summer, coming second half 2019, and it's like, okay.
I want to see some more Ninjala action.
Ninjala!
Oh, yeah.
Ninjala!
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Pretty sure when I looked at the release date, I thought it said Q2. So I'm not sure if that's true or not.
It was originally Q1.
Yeah, so nice.
All right.
Do you know when Cadence of Hyrule is supposed to come?
I don't think we know when Cadence of Hyrule is supposed to come out yet.
Maybe we'll get a day one drop, but during the Direct, huh?
Surprise drop. It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many games coming. I mean, I don't think we're going to see Pokemon again. I think they'll wait. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to see Pokemon again. Let me see. Because they're going to blow up Pokemon this summer. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, they could show it, but I just don't know that they plan to do that. We could see, man. They could show some Crash Team Racing on there. They could show some Sonic Racing on there. The ones that we haven't seen a lot of the Switch version of in particular. Man, I'm drawing blanks on the games that are coming. More Daemon X Machina.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen much of that since the demo drop.
You think they'd go with a little bit more of Link's Awakening?
They could.
Maybe not.
I don't know when it's coming out, though.
Yeah.
I don't think that has a release date. So, I mean, 2019, but... I mean, here's what sucks. There's so many games coming out that my mind is overloaded, and I can't, I'm trying to, reach into the well and just start drawing them all out, and I can't. And yes, Mark Greenberg, I know. Okay, you gave me an excellent idea on making a video that I need to make before April about all the games coming to Switch in 2019, or at least all the major games. Obviously, it won't be everything, because there's so many that no one can keep track. Yeah. There are so many games coming from April forward that I don't know how anyone can afford it all unless you're rich. I can't. There's all these games coming next April, and everyone's like, "Oh, are you gonna get Mortal Kombat 11? Are you gonna get Final Fantasy? Are you gonna get this? Are you gonna get that? I'm like, I can't. I'm getting Yoshi. Yoshi comes out. Yoshi's already out by the time you guys hear this podcast. I'll have Yoshi. Is that okay? Does that get me to keep my gamer card for April, even though it's a May game? There's so many games coming. I wonder, because I wasn't sure if they were going to do another Direct before E3. Not that there wasn't time. April is a good time to do one if they're going to do another one. Because what was interesting about the last Direct is they've got some demo drops and some stuff like that. And obviously, Super Mario Maker 2. But they didn't really give us dates for a lot of games. As an example, I brought up Animal Crossing. Last time we haven't even seen the game yet, let alone have any idea when it's coming this year. So if it's going to be a summer game, we kind of got to see it soon.
Right.
If it's, I don't know. There's just a lot. Town. What's going on with Town? We haven't seen anything from that since it was announced. So I just think there's a lot of games they could show off that maybe they want to get out of the way before E3. Because E3 is going to be all about, okay, demos are out, hands-on, let's go. And then they'll probably, maybe one big announcement. I'm not, who knows? I don't want to put that expectation out there. But they usually have something. Is there going to be more third-party games talked about? We just got a bunch of third-party games. Well, not a bunch, but some more coming to Switch, like Bulletstorm's being ported to Switch. Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood confirmed for Switch recently. Being ported by Panic Button. No surprise. They did the last ports. Man, what else could be coming? I mean, I know I'd love to see Kingdom Hearts 3, even with a late port, nice. But that's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not happening. Man, and apparently Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 5.
There you go.
Oh, man.
And I guess just maybe start taking pics of Xbox games. You never know.
Yeah, we're going to get any Xbox announcements.
Or even more Xbox Live support for games, because I know they said that there's more coming out for that, but I highly doubt they're going to announce any of that in a Direct.
I don't know. All I know is Ninjala.
Yeah.
Gung Ho Games has a gem here. I'm telling you guys. I know I haven't even played it in forever. It's probably going to be at E3 again this year because it's probably still not going to be out.
Maybe not. Don't know. If it is, playing it again.
Ninjala is a Switch exclusive. It's amazing. You guys, I can't. I know when you go watch footage of it, all right, it might look dumb. Some people thought that of Splatoon as well. Play it. Once you play it, it's wow.
Honestly, that's what I thought sitting in the line. I was
we
walked
by the
dumb.
booth. We walked by the booth a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I think we both were just, it was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It's like one of those indie brawler games. You know, it's okay. No, it's good.
And the footage itself doesn't do it any justice because the person that we were recording didn't have a clue how to play the game and was just kind of randomly running around.
Yeah, so easy to make the game look bad when the person playing doesn't know how what they're doing. And the thing is, they'll explain it to you.
Yeah, right,
just
right.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's a lot I want to see. I don't know how much they want to show us.
Well, we have that Smash characters coming in April.
Sure. Yep. So Joker. Yep. Joker release date would. Oh, I mean, it might just be dropped the day of the direct.
Yeah. That would be how I would see them doing that.
Might get another character announcement.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Mm-hmm. Joker's out. Announce the next one that we're not going to see for a few months. Yeah,
that might drop right around E3.
Everyone is here.
Yeah, right.
Including Nathan Drake. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot that could show. That's the thing. Like, there's so much stuff coming this year that, I mean, guys, just pick out your most excited games for 2019 for Switch and just say, hey, it could be in this direct. This is if the direct's real too. Like, we're speculating on a hypothetical direct that we have one source on, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna say the last direct left me unsatisfied, but it also left you with like nothing to play till April, and then from April till, I don't know, August. We don't have any dates for anything after April, so.
Yeah, I've never played Cuphead, so I'm really looking forward to
Cuphead. Yeah,
Cuphead's phenomenal. Hard as hell, but phenomenal.
Yes. I'm just going to say yes. Cuphead all the way. Man, I mean, do you guys have anything else you want to say about a potential direct, or should we just move on? It kind of sounds like we're just kind of grasping at straws on this one a bit.
Yeah,
there's nothing really to go on.
I mean, until we get like a date and maybe some hints at what might be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one, we had kind of a hint of Super Mario Maker 2 beforehand, so we kind of had something to talk about.
You never know.
Right now, it's just like, hey, look, it's coming, or it might be coming. We don't know anything else.
Mario Maker 2 coming? Do we not know?
No,
this
okay. Year.
So maybe they may show a little bit more of that off or something. Maybe get a release date.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll announce a whole slew more of ports.
You know what I wanted them to keep doing? Keep dropping demos.
Yeah.
Keep dropping demos. The Yoshi demo drop and the Daemon X Machina demo drop was awesome. Nintendo, I want you to keep dropping demos. This, not just because it gives me something to do and something to play with games that aren't out yet, but because that's how you can convince consumers your games are worthwhile. Mm-hmm. You need to drop demos. I don't know why you don't do it for all your games. You need to find a way to do it for everything. I'm not saying that like you should have dropped the Great Plateau for Breath of the Wild as a demo, even though I got to play it as a demo.
Right.
But, you know, would it hurt to have one shrine? You play through one shrine?
Yeah.
Just something. I think they need to start doing demos more often. Not that Zelda and Mario need it, but I mean, even some other things like Animal Crossing. You know, we know what Animal Crossing is, but maybe give us a taste of one of the new things,
right? And
let us have like 30 minutes to play it or something. Just something. I really like when companies do demos because I think I think demos show you're so confident in your product, you know that if people will just try it, they're gonna buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Nah.
What's our next topic here?
Okay, we got Switch Pro and Mini rumors. That would be our next topic.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know we've touched on this before a little bit.
Well, this is new.
But this is, yes. There's a lot more stuff out there floating around.
It's, okay, so I did a stream on it talking about it. I haven't really done a standalone video besides just the news report. For those who don't know, and if you're listening to a Nintendo podcast, I'm not sure how you avoided hearing about this. But the Wall Street Journal threw out some stuff about how there's going to be two new versions of the Switch coming this year. Both a cheaper version and a premium version. They're not calling it Mini and Pro. That's just kind of what everyone else is tagging it as. But basically, Nintendo Switch Mini, Nintendo Switch Pro. And they didn't really provide much more details other than that. Eurogamer came in a couple days later, corroborated the rumors, said they have their own sources that aren't the same ones that Wall Street Journal is using. And their sources not only say that both models are coming this year, they gave a little bit extra details, like how the cheaper model is going to take away some key features from the original Switch, and then the Pro model is akin to the new Nintendo 3DS or like a 2DS or something. The Mini was like a 2DS. Well, I don't know, whatever. They compared it to the 3DS, basically, where you had the 2DS, which took away 3D, and then you had the new Nintendo 3DS XL, which was more powerful, but not always notable or noticeable by people using the device because not a lot of games took advantage of the extra power.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what they're throwing out there. Now, I am against the Mini all the way. I've been against the Mini from day one, from the very first time we heard about a rumor like this a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's their replacement for the 3DS. And as a replacement for the 3DS, as a cheaper Switch for kids that's probably not able to be docked.
Right.
I assume if it's going to be made for kids, they're not going to put a moving fan in it. So they're not going to want it to be in a dock where it ramps up and gets too hot. Heck, Switches today, some of them get bent because they get too hot. So let's just be honest, they're going to remove the fan. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's not detachable Joy-Cons. That is just all one solid handheld unit. Think like the PlayStation Vita, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not with an OLED screen. That would be nice, Nintendo. But you're not going to go that far. And I think as a 3DS replacement, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not going to be interested in it, but my kids will be. You know, $200 bucks. All right, cool. I mean, I get it.
Right, no,
I
definitely.
get it. It's not for me, but I get it. And I think I get caught up too much in it's not for me. And I'm like, what's a Switch if it can't switch? And it's like, what's a Switch if it? I mean, what's a 2DS if it can't 3D? Like a 2D version of a 3DS. That's what it is. Well, what's the Switch if it can't switch? It's just a handheld version of Switch. Okay, I mean, I get it. I get it. Kids are gonna dig it. Kids don't care about docking with TV usually. So, what are you guys' thoughts on maybe like the Switch Mini side of things or the cheaper Switch? Like, what do you think they're gonna do?
So, for me, the Switch Mini isn't something I would buy. I already have 4 Switches, so I would end up just retiring one of them.
Are you just like collecting all the special edition ones?
No. It's really more I have 3 children, 2 of which are of video game playing age, and my wife, and I am not one to share my Switch.
I don't blame
as
you.
someone who has shared his Switch, I massively regret it, so I hear you.
Yeah. So the Mini I wouldn't buy. My question about the Switch Premium, all right, so hypothetically, say they decide to do the Premium and remove the portability factor. What would your reaction be?
I'd be pissed off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because, and here's my logic. The same logic with the Switch, really, right? So the Switch is more powerful when it has direct power.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what makes it more. That's why it ramps up clock speeds when it's in the dock because it has more power, more juice available to it. So they can run it like that in handheld, but your battery life would be cut in half, and that's just going from 3 hours to 1.5 would be unacceptable. So I think that if a Pro model comes out that's more powerful, but they're like, oh, it's more powerful than the base Switch, but you can't dock it. Or if it doesn't come with a dock or whatever the case might be. I think that
other way around. You can't handheld it, I think is what he's saying. It takes away the portability.
Oh, you're saying console only?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So if they make it powerful enough that using it in handheld would drastically reduce the battery, so they decide to forego portability.
No.
Yeah, that would still...
Hell no. Either way.
Yeah.
Like, even think about the other... Like, I get it. You're actually one of the few people to bring up that point. That, like, what if they kind of NVIDIA Shield TV it and make a standalone box for your TV? I mean, PlayStation did it too. They did the Vita TV, right? Like, this isn't unheard of. Mm-hmm. Companies have done this. I would be totally against it, though, because basically, even though they'd all play the same games, I assume, if you're going to make a box that goes underneath the TV and you're going to call it, the Switch Pro or whatever, then it better be at the levels of a PlayStation 5.
Right.
And if it's at the levels of a PlayStation 5, then how the hell is it going to have the same games as what's on Switch?
Mm-hmm.
Third parties are not going to bring their games when they can just bring it to that box and not to Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to add... Sorry, what?
Oh, nothing. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, like, it feels like if they do that, as cool as it is, I know a lot of people want that, like something like that. It would segment the audience so much. I don't think the Switch Pro is going to be so much more powerful that they can't just downclock it again to use it in handheld. And the thing is even the chip the Switch is using now, it doesn't even run at stock speeds because it's too much heat. Well, that's from 2015. That die can be shrunk now and be more power efficient and put out less heat and be better, like more able to perform. Like we've already seen, there's newer versions of this chip used in smart cars that are way smaller, way more power efficient, and also way more powerful. So I don't think. I mean, let me put it in another way to look at it. There are some brand new phones and tablets right now today more powerful than a Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can do it without a fan and have okay battery life, then a Switch with a fan can be fine and have fine battery life. The question is, they obviously have to up the battery to 4,000 milliamp hours minimum, but they can do that. It happens in devices smaller than Switch. So I think a key thing is going to be price point. Yeah. Is Nintendo willing to charge $400? And I don't know. Like I'm trying to imagine like what they would do if they took away portability and just made it a box. Because like doing that, you feel like it should be cheaper then. Oh, you're taking away half the functionality of the Switch. Well, then why would I pay $400?
See, my thing is you did the under TV thing with like the Wii U, basically going back, for
forever.
How long? Forever.
Yeah, since the 80s. Yeah.
And then you bring out the Switch. And then to just basically, we're 2 years out? 2.5? Something like that?
Yeah.
To just basically throw that out the window and bring back another box console.
It would almost sound like they're going backwards, right? Because
it just feels like, what's the point of the Switch?
You'd have the more powerful Switch as a box. You'd have the less powerful handheld-only version. And then the one in the middle is just kind of like, what the hell are we existing for?
Yeah.
Oh, for the people that do want both. But you're not getting both because you're not getting the performance of the older one. You're not getting the same convenience of how the portable one is designed. You're just kind of being left out there to hang and dry and wait for your system to be obsolete, which it pretty much would be.
I mean, what's the point of the Switch then? I mean, if you're just going to go back to a box.
And that was my argument with the Mini, but I understood the Mini just because it was to be targeting children.
Right. If that's how they do it, yeah.
So a Pro, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a box anymore. I don't know that Nintendo's ever going to do another box.
Fantastic question, obviously, to touch on. But
it's hard for me to see it because the appeal of the Switch to me is that I can play it on my TV and play it anywhere. That's why I'm not interested in the Mini. Yeah. I have no interest in the Mini.
For me, that would be a worst case scenario. I could imagine a reality where that happened.
And there's probably a lot of people that want that reality to happen.
You're not wrong. I can definitely see Nintendo doing something like that.
You know how many people would love for Nintendo to drop a $400 box next year that runs toe-to-toe with PlayStation 5? Like, everyone. Not everyone, but a lot of people would love that. But then it'd be like, well, okay, so then what did Switch become? Then it can't be a Switch anymore.
Well,
so the Switch would just become their new Game Boy line?
Right, basically. Yeah, I was just going to say, if they did end up coming out with the box, that definitely signifies the end of the 3DS. Because then
yeah, but if they also come out with the box, wouldn't that hurt the Switch too? Because what has Nintendo been saying from day one?
It's a home console.
It's a home console, and now you come out with a home console.
Yeah. Yeah, that would. I don't know. Fantastic.
I mean, the Switch is getting games like Doom and Wolfenstein and Mortal Kombat and 3D Marios and Zeldas, and you're going to be like, oh, but you know what? We're going to give something even more powerful, so everything's prettier, and now you're going to feel really obsolete trying to play any of this on the go.
Yeah.
Like, I think Nintendo hit so well on this hybrid concept that I could see a reality where they go back, but then I can't because I can imagine it, but Nintendo's handhelds have always been so much more popular than their home consoles. It's not even close. If you go through the sales history of their handhelds compared to home consoles, their home consoles are completely dwarfed by their handheld thing. I know a lot of us grew up with the home consoles, and we have all these fond memories, GameCube, N64, SNES, like we have all these fond memories, but none of them were selling like the handhelds. The handhelds destroyed the home consoles. So like now they combined it together to try to get the best of both worlds. And obviously Nintendo has the metrics and they know the splits between handheld and TV, but that's part of what makes it so popular. So if you're just going to rip away one of the key features of it, it's like, okay. So either people are just going to keep buying the Switch and no one's going to buy the box, or people are going to buy the box and the Switch is going to go bye-bye. I don't see a reality where they could split the market back again. They're like, as the 3DS is finally fading out, it's like they finally just combined all Nintendo fans on one platform.
And also, as is close to, 2 years, 2.5 years, it's not a long time for the, and to all of a sudden just squash the...
That's probably how quick they should have squashed Wii U.
Probably.
Just based on sales, not based on games.
Right.
Games are awesome, and I actually enjoyed the system itself. But, that's not even something I've even contemplated because I don't know how Nintendo would go back to that. Go back to splitting things back up. Like, why? Isn't that why they're putting games on mobile? So they don't need to worry about that. They have another revenue stream.
Yeah. But the sad part is that there's this spot in the back of my mind where it's like, it would not surprise me if they did that. Well,
you can never be surprised with anything with Nintendo. Who knew they were going to do the Switch? Who knew that they were doing the Wii? Who thought that they were going to slap a tablet on a home console and launch it at Xbox 360 powers a year before everyone else came out and tell us that home console is a hardcore gamer box when the hardcore gamers are getting their next system a year later? Like, you don't ever know what Nintendo... I mean, they went from Game Boy to doing 2 screens with a fold.
Right.
And then they released a 3DS, and then all of a sudden they cannibalized it and say, hey, we're going to release our super cheap $100 2D version.
And then took away the fold.
Like, you don't know. Nintendo could do anything. So it's hard to be surprised with anything they do. I think there's some people out there that want Nintendo. Like, I know this. I read comments. I read lots and lots of comments, lots of tweets. Like, there's people that don't want anything to do with Nintendo until they make a traditional home console that's on par with everyone else. But doesn't this feel like such a wrong time to be doing that? Sony has already kind of admitted PlayStation 5 is their last home console. Literally, Sony and Microsoft have game streaming services. Sony's isn't for everything yet, but it'll get there, I'm sure. And xCloud, when that comes out, I'm sure that's going to stream everything. Google Stadia is around the corner. I'm not talking about like streaming replaces everything, but I'm saying that like everyone else in the marketplace sees it as, hey, these home consoles might not be around a decade from now. So like at this time, why jump back into that?
Yeah.
Which looks like a potential sinking market. Versus, they're in their own market right now. There isn't a hybrid. The hybrids don't exist.
Only way you jump back into that market is that you hope that by those guys exiting out,
that you get
you can pick some stuff up. That'd be the only reason.
But But Microsoft has said they're not going anywhere with hardware. So like, if there's still an audience, enough of an audience, say 30, 40, 50, 100 million people, buying traditional home consoles, then Xbox ain't going anywhere. They're going to do both. They're going to be like, look, we're going to have our cake and eat it too. We're going to have the streaming service, and we're going to have the platform.
Yeah.
If PlayStation 5 sells another 100 million units, you think they're not going to make a PlayStation 6? Money talks.
It'll make them think a lot longer.
Like, money talks. Why would they? Like, that's the thing. Sony's assumption is they won't probably sell 100 million PlayStation 5s. They might sell well, but not 100 million. Their assumption is the market's going to shrink. That's why they wouldn't even commit to a PlayStation 5 till last year. So it's like, not that they weren't working on one, but they made it sound like they know in the back of their minds that they won't be making consoles forever. And so they're kind of seeing the end coming up. I don't know if the end's actually coming up, but what I do know is Nintendo has been behind the ball with every single home console they've ever released, except for Wii, dating back to the N64 days. And even then, like, they released the NES, sold 80 million, and then everything got worse and worse and worse. And then Wii exploded, and then Wii U kind of went back to the trending of doing worse and worse and worse. So, like, Nintendo doesn't understand that market well enough. That's been very obvious. Especially the market that is buying PlayStation at 100 million units every single... Like, people are like, oh, well, the Wii was 100 million. Sure, the Wii was 100 million as a flash in the pan. PlayStation's worst selling home console is 80 million units. And that's what the NES did. So, like, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and now PlayStation 4 all moved over 100 million units. Like, that's consistency. Nintendo would kill for that consistency. But they don't have that consistency. Now, Nintendo's been able to bank on the fact they've had home console and handheld. So you can kind of combine things together and be like, oh, well, yeah, they sold 80 million, but hey, we had 250 million during the Wii and DS era. And it's like, yeah, but they're kind of different markets.
Yeah. But
I think a Switch Pro is great. I don't think that it's going to be... that.
The other thing is, that
I don't know. Nintendo does things though that you don't think they're. I mean, I think it would be a mistake. Is the way I view it.
The other thing is they have to, again, balance added power with trying to keep battery life, too.
Well, yes, I hear you. But as I already mentioned,
you
already have chips that can do it that use less battery. Right. You got to remember the Switch is using. How to put this? The Switch is using off-the-shelf parts from 2015. Off-the-shelf parts that were never built with the intent to be used the way Switch is using. Okay? They were meant to be used in the NVIDIA Shield. The NVIDIA Shield tablet. The tablet that was like this big, and it was like this thick, and it had a huge it was intended to be used with something that had a bigger screen and had a lot more juice in it. That's what this chip was built for. Now, yes, they do use it in smaller NVIDIA Shield TVs now, and they eventually shrunk down their devices and were able to basically do kind of sort of what the Switch is power-wise, but it took them years. The chip wasn't actually designed for that. So, if there's a custom SoC in the works, I mean, look what's happening in the phone. Like I
suppose, well, now that the Switch has been out, I mean, you can now design a chip specifically for...
And who's to say they haven't been designing a chip the whole time?
Right.
One of the rumors out there for the Switch Pro, and this one's been around for a while, it's just kind of been out there. Nobody has really said much about it because, again, Switch Pro's not here, so what do we know? That when Switch came out, Switch was rushed because what Nintendo and NVIDIA were really doing was building a custom SoC. And what we got with Nintendo Switch was not what Nintendo Switch was supposed to be. But they felt like they needed to rush it to market because Wii U was tanking so bad. And they knew 3DS sales were slowing down. And they needed to please investors, and things were not looking so hot. And this is right after Iwata passed away, and they knew Kimishima wasn't going to be around forever. And like, we need to do something now before we hand over the reins to someone like Furukawa, who will have zero momentum, and no one's going to trust him, and he's on a sinking ship. Like, they felt like they needed to hit market with something. Plus, on top of that, they had Breath of the Wild, which became the most money they've ever invested in the development of a single game is Breath of the Wild. This is according to Nintendo themselves. So, don't come at me about saying that, oh, what about this game? What about Nintendo themselves said they put more money into this than any other game.
That doesn't surprise
It had
me.
the biggest team they've ever used.
That doesn't.
I mean, Breath of the Wild had a development team that was actually like you would expect to be for a AAA game in the West. It had a massive development team. Nintendo doesn't do massive development teams for like anything. Xenoblade Chronicles was made with less than 50 people. I don't know if you guys know that. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is made with less than 50 people. So it just really puts it in perspective, like what they're doing with this game and what they had to do at that time, because they didn't want to release Breath of the Wild on a system that's dead. It would feel like a waste of investment in that game, even no matter how amazing that game is. They know that one game isn't going to make 50 million, more Wii U sell.
Right.
So they said, look, NVIDIA, what can you do for us to get this thing we're working on together out a year from now? And the idea was, well, we have the Tegra chip just sitting on the shelf. We have millions of them just sitting on a shelf because we couldn't sell it. Like, we could basically redesign our tablet to be your tablet, and sure, just chuck that out quick. And that would explain a lot of things with Switch, because there's things like the UI is very basic. I love it, but it's very un-Nintendo-like. No themes. It's very phone-like. The OS it's using is very, very... I don't know if you guys know this. The OS that it's using is very close to stock. It's not even like a new designed OS. It's basically the stock OS. So they're not even customizing the OS that much. The eShop looks like it's cobbled together. The kickstand is flimsy as hell, and there's no way in heck that would have ever made it through Nintendo's old QA testing.
Right.
The Joy-Cons having that issue at the very beginning where the antenna was being covered up by metal in someone's hand and affecting its connection signal to your Switch. Like, that would never pass Nintendo QA testing. You had the issue with the D-pad on the Pro Controller when it came out. You have the issue with the Joy-Cons themselves having those plastic tabs in there that just snap off. You had the wrist straps not really having a mechanism to block you from putting it on the wrong way. So if you do put it on the wrong way, you break your Joy-Con. All the Joy-Con drift issues that have existed, the fact that the dock was scratching switches, the fact that switches were bending, like there's just the list goes on and on.
Yeah,
and
you're
on.
right.
And
you're
just
right.
like, Nintendo, what other system has Nintendo ever released that's been like that?
I mean, hell, you used to be able to hit Nintendo systems with a hammer and you'd be fine.
Well, I mean, the Switch was dropped from 1,000 feet. Whatever, it landed on the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons got exploded. The point is like, I'm not. This isn't me saying Switch is bad.
Right.
Switch, like, despite all those issues, the thing is, it just feels like every other electronic. But that's not the way that it's ever been with Nintendo. Nintendo's always quality tested their stuff to hell and back again. Not that there's never been issues, but not to this extent. And not for this long. And some of these issues were fixed. I mean, heck, why was the Switch hacked so quickly? Because it was using a stock chip that has been hacked since 2015. So once people realized, how do we trick that chip? Oh, we just short some pins. It just took them, I don't know, a few months to figure out short some pins, and we're in. Like, Nintendo's systems have never been that easy to crack. And all of this makes sense if they rush something to market. Why wasn't Nintendo's online service ready? Why they talk about an online service and promise all these features and then didn't bring it out for almost 2 years?
Right. And so basically also, what we're thinking is possibly that the Switch Pro is
what the Switch was supposed to be.
Huh.
That's one of the prevailing thoughts of there. The Switch Pro is actually what the OG Switch was going to be if Nintendo could release it on the timetable they wanted to. So they always were going to follow up Wii U with it. But the original plan was for Wii U to last another year or two.
So then which would have put the release of the
It would have been out
Switch.
like end of last year.
Yeah.
It would have been holiday last year or something like that. So the thought process is that this Switch Pro could be what Switch was supposed to be, with a completely custom SoC. So it could have way better power management, way better efficiency. Who knows? Maybe more RAM. Who knows? It could just be better. It could basically take all the issues people have with the Switch and just fix it, because those issues wouldn't have been there. It's almost like what they released was what they were prototyping versus what would have made the best end consumer product. Now, again, that's also me like saying, oh man, Nintendo really just did that? Well, they did, and it worked, and it sold 30 plus million units.
Right.
So, and again, this is all speculation. I can't confirm any of this. This is just a rumor that's been out there that has not been debunked by anybody. But if the Switch Pro comes out and it's got the kickstand fixed, the Joy-Cons have no issues anymore, and they're even redesigned a little bit, maybe you have a D-pad and maybe a little bit more ergonomic, right? Maybe there's a new Switch, Pro controller or whatever, a new Nintendo Pro controller, to go along with it that has none of the issues that the Pro controller has had. It comes with a dock that is completely different and more sleek and simplified, and portable, possibly even, that you could take it with you.
With a built-in Ethernet port.
With a built-in Ethernet port. and USB 3.0 ports that actually run at USB 3.0.
Yeah.
Or 3.1.
How about a headphone jack on the Pro controller?
Yeah, they had a headphone
too.
jack on the Pro controller in the original documents, in the original patents. There was a headphone jack on the Pro controller, but the final version didn't have it. Why? I don't know. Maybe something happened and it got cut out, but they'd bring that back later.
They needed to give you better battery life. Oh, sorry, that was a shot at Apple. My bad.
Yeah, I think that again, we have to see what it is, if it even exists, and if it does exist, I think it's going to be very telling.
Yeah.
Because we'll never know for sure if the rumors are true, because Nintendo is never going to come out and say, this is what we originally envisioned Switch to be. Like, they're never going to say that. Because that would be them having to admit, oh yeah, we purposely gave you an inferior product because we had to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, could you imagine the stocks after that?
Well, it's also kind of like, it's not even an unheard of approach.
Yeah.
It happens in phones all the time. Like, sometimes you'll get like the new iPhone, right? So you get like the iPhone 7. Well, the 7S is a vastly superior device because it fixes all the issues that 7 had, and usually is a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Apple's done this for years. They'll release a numbered version that is great, is better than the last one, but it also might be worse in some ways and has some issues. But they know, you know what, we're going to fix it in our real version of this next year.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo's not being that disingenuous, I don't think, but I do think that they felt pressure to get something out because they couldn't just ride 3DS forever.
Right.
But, again, speculation and rumors. Don't know. We don't know anything. I do think... actually, let me throw this out there. Rob, do you think these systems are real, that we're getting them?
I do. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. When do you think Nintendo will announce them?
Could be at E3. Maybe towards the end of the...
Yeah, I think a lot of people hope E3, just
That's
because Nintendo
kind of what I was thinking.
announced anything at E3 since the Wii U. Because they went to digital and now they don't do hardware announcements there. But maybe it's time, because it's not a new hardware; it's a revision.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not announcing the Switch; they're announcing revisions to
Mm-hmm.
the Switch. So that's possible, and I think that would go over well in a year that Sony's not there.
Yeah.
You're fighting
Yeah.
for less attention now.
Hey.
The only thing you have to worry about is what Xbox is doing, and I'm pretty sure they know what Xbox is doing because Microsoft and Nintendo are getting along. So like, I'm sure there's open like they're not going to give all the competitive secrets away, but I'm sure like they know. Oh, okay, you're going after this one target audience with this. You know, Microsoft already came out and said it. The next hardware we release, our goal is for it to, again, be like an Xbox One X, the most powerful console hardware in the world. That's what they want it to be. Well, Nintendo knows that. So, like, that's not the same audience. So they're not going to necessarily target that. So I think that they could announce this revision and not have Microsoft's announcements overshadow it.
What would be really interesting is if they actually announced it and then had them there.
That would be
ridiculous. I mean, maybe not playable, but I mean, at least have a
Well, they might have a case. Like,
Yeah.
Like they did with the Starlink thing, you know, where you can look at it in a case.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if it's coming out this year, it almost has to be.
Right, well,
Playable.
it'd have to be playable, yeah.
You'd at least... heck, maybe they make the whole booth played with that, and you don't even get to play any of the demos on the OG Switch.
Actually, you know, kind of like how they had Starlink last year, where they had dock modes and then they had handheld.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could do one that has a set of Xbox or
Minis.
Xbox Switch Minis, and then
Switch Pros.
that are there handheld, and then you have Switch Pros that are docked and you play on the TV.
That is possible.
That would be kind of.
What if they give the Switch Mini the new 3DS analog?
Oh, I mean, no. The product's not for me. I don't know. Let
Yeah.
me ask my kids what they think about it.
Yeah.
Like, hey kids, wake up and come down and tell me, do you prefer this or do you go grab your 2DS, but or do you prefer this?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Do kids even care? I mean, kids are into touch, so they might not even care.
Yeah.
I think a lot of adults that want a mini would be pretty pissed off though.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like, oh, really? Now you just made it so I'm never buying it again. As long as they don't go like Vita nub style.
Oh god.
That was not good. Vita.
Just make all of their all their joysticks, the old C stick from
Or
GameCube.
No. Okay, that's not as bad as what I'm thinking of. The Lenovo ThinkPads with the little red dot in the middle you can use as a
Oh
mouse.
God.
I don't. Some people really like them. I don't know why they like them. I guess it's convenient if you're
They're-
typing and you just want to move the cursor quick. But
They're fun to play with.
well, yeah, but like they're fun to like need.
Yeah,
but, like,
right.
For practicality,
Right.
It's not exactly super accurate all the time, and there's like no button press. There's no click.
Right.
So like you're trying to let me move my mouse and then move my hand completely down to the other trackpad.
I might as well just do that.
I'm sure you can. The business line. I'm sure there's a way to map a button to be a mouse click, but I don't know. I think that's gonna wrap up the talk. Unless you guys have anything else you want to say about these.
Nah.
Nothing.
No. All right. So speaking of E3,
Yes.
Sony's not there this year. EA is not doing a press conference. They are gonna do like a Nintendo Treehouse style thing. They did it last year, but this year is where they'll announce all their things during their Treehouse stuff. But they're not on the show floor. Obviously, Microsoft's in its own building. You still use your E3 passes to go there, but they're in their own building. You have less press conferences happening. Still have some, but less. So press conferences have been kind of shrinking. There's less things on the show floor. What's interesting is in E3 2016 when we went, the one side of the building felt empty.
Yeah.
Last year, or when we went, it didn't feel empty, but they filled it with people trying to sell you stuff.
Right.
So I don't know that that's necessarily better. It's neat.
Yeah.
It's cool. But
They
like
have a lot of
people,
cool stuff.
But gamers weren't paying $250 to
God.
come in and spend
There was
$1,000 on merchandise.
There was a lot of those mystery boxes being sold there. The boxes themselves were cool, but
I know,
don't know if
and
they
the
were
thing
worth
is,
it.
I might buy one this year because I think
Yeah.
it might make an interesting video since I never bought one last year.
Yeah, true.
Like just to like get a couple, get a cheap one, and get an expensive one. I hope what's in it is worth it.
Right.
I swear, if you get like $150 box and you get like $20 worth of crap,
No, I mean they tell you what's kind of. They give you a rough idea of what's in
there. They give
there.
you a vague. They don't really tell you what exactly it is. They just
Right.
tell you it's valued at this, and you could get this many items, and there might be a game, and it's like.
Well, thank
I
you.
don't really care about the game. If I wanted the game, I would just go buy the game.
Right.
Unless it's a game that's not released. But that's
Right.
Anyway.
That ain't gonna happen.
Anyways, that's future video ideas aside. Is E3 getting better or worse? And then I want to actually hear from Rob on this one because I think our experience is now skewed. Now that we've been to E3 a couple times, our perspective I think is going to be different from someone that probably just pays attention to it at home on their phone. So, Rob, what do you think? Is E3 getting better or worse?
Well, if we're judging by last year, last year was pretty bad when it comes to EA and PlayStation's press conference, but they're not going to be there. So if I was going by last year, I'd say worse. Maybe by this year it'll be a little bit better.
Okay, so when you think E3, is it like the press conferences that matter the most to you?
Yeah, generally, that's the main thing I pay attention to. I mean, sometimes I'll see what games they're playing on the show floor, but
Sure. Well, I mean, when you're not there, obviously, like I don't expect people who aren't at E3 to care about the show floor as much because you're not there. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you know,
right.
it's just like me right now. Like PAX East is going on. I'm not there, so I'm not really caring what's going on. I'll watch some demo videos when they come out, you know, just see some games I'm interested in.
Will you?
Yeah. Yes, I will. Anyways. So, yeah, and I think I used to be the same way. I think I used to always care about the press conferences a lot. But, see, something made me shift. And this was before we even went in 2016. Was when Nintendo did the Treehouse thing. Where they're streaming for 3 straight days. It made me care more than just about the press conferences. Because I don't know if you've ever sat through, Rob, and watched the Treehouse stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's even new game announcements.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see hands-on gameplay, interviews with developers. Like, it's basically a Nintendo Direct for 3 days.
yeah, I love the Treehouse.
Yeah. Like that's like one of the big things. Like when I was at home, and that's the thing I missed last year. Like I actually kind of missed not watching Treehouse at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'd scrub back through it for any news I might miss, but I'm just scrubbing through it. I'm not really enjoying it like I used to. And it's interesting because I think that makes E3 better for people at home. Like I think what EA is doing with EA Play, not just having a public event where people can come play, but even online doing a longer 2-day stream, as lame and as cringy as the stream probably will be, and it happens with Nintendo's Treehouse too. There's some cringe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cringe. I think it's ultimately makes E3 a bigger event for people at home. Because now you're not just getting press conferences. You're also getting you don't have to wait for necessarily me and Eric to come back and show you gameplay of a Nintendo demo. You got to see that demo on Treehouse.
Yeah.
Now you might care about how we play it because sometimes on Treehouse they don't look very good when they're playing it. This is really weird because it's what they do for a living.
Right.
But sometimes like they'll as an example, how many times that I watched back in 2016 on the footage them die to Stone Talus, and I killed Stone Talus like the second time I played.
Yeah.
That's like,
well, I mean,
and you guys did the translating and have done play testing on
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and like
and
you're not very good at the game.
yeah.
So I think some people are interested in that, seeing higher skill level at some games, or seeing the people that like couldn't figure out the oh, this is the worst. The media outlet that was trying to talk about Cuphead back in the day, but
Lord.
couldn't
Oh,
get
boy.
past the introduction.
Lord.
the couldn't figure out how to jump and move forward at the same time. Like a bare basic thing that Mario did way back when.
Oh Lord.
Couldn't figure it out. Oh, it gave media, and the thing is, I got backlash over it. It gave media such a bad name. Like, oh, we don't really play games or care about games, and it's like, you got to remember about things like E3. There's a lot of media there that they don't really care about games.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
let me tell you, folks, you're never gonna catch me not knowing how to jump and move forward at the same time, unless they suddenly change the control to 18 different button presses to pull it off.
Yeah.
You're never going to see me not know how to press forward on a control stick while hitting a button at the same time. I don't think that's ever going to be an issue I'll run into.
Yeah.
My accuracy and how well I jump and how well I platform, fine. But the ability to actually do it, no.
Mm-hmm.
I can't always get through a tutorial that tells you what to do. Anyways.
I will give him Cuphead is a little bit different.
Yeah, but not...
No. I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know
You
what you're
played it.
talking.
Yeah, like that's
yeah.
not...
No.
That's that's literally a little tutorial screen. You can't die.
Yeah.
It's just teaching you the controls.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pass it.
Oh,
Like,
boy.
Cuphead was so hard they couldn't pass that.
Yeah.
They couldn't pass
Right.
bare basics.
Right.
Might have well have been as Little Big Planet.
Oh, jeez.
Oh Lord.
You know what? No, the problem was it wasn't all touchscreen. They would have figured it out if it was touch controls.
Yes.
Even if the touch control is just a virtual joystick with virtual buttons, it's the same. They would have probably figured that one out. That's just the way. I mean, I got nothing against touch controls. It's just, oh man, I don't know if I can ever get over that moment and how much backlash. Even as I said, that I wasn't even at that E3, and I got like people, oh, you don't know how to play games either. Like, I know you suck at games. I'm like, yeah, I'm not good at every game I play, but I can get through the tutorial. If you ever see me not get through a tutorial, ever.
Then you lose your gamer card. Oh, don't worry. We'll design one that you just can't.
Yeah, we're gonna have to design some new business cards that are gamer cards.
Yeah.
And start just wait. Oh no, this would be cruel.
Oh boy.
We're standing in line waiting, and we watch people play, and like, we're handing out gamer cards all along the line, like the 4-hour wait for Pokemon. Or
Yeah.
we're handing out gamer cards, like, hey, you want a gamer card? It's free, whatever. Because everyone's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
taking
right.
free,
Yeah, yeah.
the free cards,
Yeah.
not thinking anything of it.
Right.
And then all the people in front of us, when they get up and they ultimately suck so bad they can't even like get out of like they just glitch into a wall or whatever. Like,
I need your gamer card back.
Hey, time to hand over your gamer card. You're done.
Oh boy, that would make an interesting E3.
Oh man,
Something
that
tells
would
me
make a
we
cool
might
video.
get thrown out.
That would make a cool video.
Yeah.
That would make a cool video about, hey, so we handed out gamer cards at E3 and we see who was good enough to hold on to it.
Yeah. Right. Oh Lord.
Oh man, the ideas I'm getting to be evil to random strangers.
Right.
We gotta do it to people that we know.
Right. That'd be even better.
Oh, yeah. You know how bad it would be if we met Super Metal Dave again, and then he played a game and he sucked at it so bad we asked for his gamer card back. You know how many people would be like, "He's exposed. He's not a game."
Right.
Even though he has his own gameplay in every video he makes.
Oh Lord. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rob, you're kind of thinking that with the elimination of the bad press conferences that it's getting better?
Yeah, as long as I'm not forced to watch a mobile game for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it'll be
Granted, it looked like a good mobile game, but just not on that platform.
fortunate name choice.
Yeah. And like they used an IP that everyone's been waiting for a new one in. I don't know why they do that. They did that with another one too. Dungeon Keeper or something, I can't remember.
Is there anything else need to be said?
But the thing is, like, I actually thought it looked cool. It's like, but this isn't what you show at E3.
Yeah.
And not with a popular IP that hasn't had a new entry in like 10 years. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
like if they showed like a running game for like Conker's Bad Fur Day, the running game.
Well,
God, no,
imagine that Super Mario Odyssey hasn't come out yet,
mm-hmm.
and we didn't know about it, and then at E3 2017, they made a big deal out of Super Mario Run.
Yeah.
And never announced Odyssey or anything else. That was your Mario game.
Oy.
And it said, oh, by the way, and it'll come to Switch for a nominal fee. And it's like, oh, boy.
Thank you.
An infinite runner. Oh, boy. Oh, it's not really infinite. It's a level-based runner. Right. But still, it's like, it would be so out of touch with the audience you're talking to. Like, them appearing, like when Nintendo announced Super Mario Run at the Apple conference, that made sense. Mm-hmm. They're talking about iPhones. That was the perfect audience to bring Super Mario Run to.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else seems to understand where you announce mobile games.
Right.
And I will give Nintendo this credit. They are out of touch with a lot of things. They understand the audience for mobile and the audience for their Switch games are not the same thing.
Right. I don't think there is a whole lot of, like, big mobile... Is there, a big mobile dev announcement thing, like E3 or anything? Or PAX or...
I think a lot of them tie it into when new phones are announced.
Okay. Gotcha.
There's never exclusives.
Right.
But, like, it's like, oh, yeah, we got this new phone, here's this new game.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of that, like with the Samsung conferences, Apple conferences. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of them showing up there. Huh. And there's a ton of websites dedicated to it that are really, really popular. A lot of YouTube channels dedicated to it that are really, really popular. So I don't know if they have their own event. They probably do. I just don't pay enough attention.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. There hasn't really been anyone demanding that, I guess. Like, like how many people would tune in
to watch
a mobile press conference? Like, do mobile gamers care about that? Like, would I really turn into a press conference to see Tap Sports Baseball the next one? I probably wouldn't even be aware it exists.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the type of...
Like, I'm not saying that people don't get serious about their games on phones. But I think they just like what they like and play what they play, and all the games on phones seem to be never ending. So they're not always really looking for new...
How many thousands of them coming out each day?
Yeah. I mean, thousands of good ones.
Oh, right.
All right, so now I'm going to toss it over to Eric here. Your perspective. E3 getting better or worse, both as someone watching and now someone who attends?
I just don't know how... You know, we have your three big hitters. You have Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft pulled out, but they're still tangentially...
And they didn't really pull out. What happened is...
Right.
They won... Okay, so in the main hall, I think it's the West Hall, where Nintendo's at. It was Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft tried squeezing in that hall for many years. But it was really hard for all three to get the amount of space they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you always had IGN and other people trying to be right there because that's where the big three are.
Mm-hmm.
So Microsoft pulled out originally because there really wasn't enough space. To adequately be there, and they didn't want to be in South Hall because they felt like being in South Hall detached them too far away from
Weren't
everything.
They in there?
So what they said is, well, hey, we have our... Well,
Only-
yes, yeah.
okay,
Well,
that's what they were,
2016, they
yeah.
were in the South Hall, I
Okay.
think. And so they decided, hey, look, instead of us like trying to fight to be in the quote unquote best
Right.
hall,
Right.
even though plenty of people are in the L hall. That hall, now that all that stuff is in there, that hall is packed.
Right.
Like there's people in there all
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the place,
Right,
which
right,
there
for sure,
there
for
used
sure.
to not be.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft looks at it as one, we have a place really close to it, like a couple of blocks away. And it could be just us, and we're not competing with anyone but us. And
Right.
we will work with the ESA and allow it to be all part of everything. So it's like an extension of the
Right,
convention
right, and that's
So-
kind of where I was going with that. Where it's they kind of in a way pulled out, but not. They're still related. They're still. I mean, they have the presence in that time of year
What I
the
will
same
say,
area.
what I will say about just as someone who attends, that I don't like about Microsoft being in their own hall is they have different hours.
Right.
That I didn't.
Yeah.
like.
That was yeah.
So it's like, oh, we didn't get to go because we thought there were still 3 hours of E3 left. We thought we had 3 hours. Nope, they're done already.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was
why you have your own? Like when you were on the floor, it was you're there until
Right.
it's done. Like
right.
so, I didn't
right.
like that.
Right.
But that's as an attendee.
Mm-hmm.
As someone at home, I don't know that really makes a difference.
Right. That it
You're not
shouldn't
there
affect
playing,
it. Right.
so
Exactly.
why do you care?
Exactly.
They're still doing a press conference.
Exactly.
That's what you really care about.
So yeah, kind of where I'm going with this is it's going to be really, really, I think, different without having Sony there.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know
because of how big of a player they are in the industry,
how big their booth was.
how big their booth was, and then that's the thing too. That's one thing that I'm going to miss with actually being there is Sony's booth was freaking fantastic.
Oh yeah, they always had a cool booth. They did waste a lot of space in it last year.
They
though.
did,
but
but-
I think
It's still the visuals of it were
Well, yeah.
astounding.
what I will miss too this year is it was really cool, just walking down that main hallway, Nintendo and Sony across from each
Oh,
other.
right.
Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
here's Sony.
It's like a stare
here's
down
Here's
almost.
some screen with Sony yelling about, and there's Spider-Man singing
Yeah.
all over. Over here, you got Smash Bros. And Pokemon
Right.
just going nuts, like Pika Pika.
Right,
And then
right,
Spider-Man's
exactly.
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna save you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah,
These
right.
are like,
Yeah, right.
these are the two big behemoths just
Stare down, almost.
staring each other down. Who's
so-
got the bigger? Who's got
Right,
the biggest?
right.
You know, they're doing a dick measuring contest. What's happening?
Pretty much.
And now that's not happening.
Right.
Now, I will say, as a Nintendo fan who's attending, there is potential. The floor diagrams aren't yet. You have to wonder if Nintendo's going to be like, screw it, we're taking both halves.
Or at least half of what Sony had.
I mean, if they take both halves, I mean, with how many games they have coming, they could probably justify having that much space. But they want to
Yeah,
pay the amount
right.
of money it's going to take for that much space.
Right.
I
Right.
don't
Right.
know. Well, if they're going to have the Switch Pro and Switch Mini there.
Yes. Yes. But so with Sony being gone, I think it does diminish E3 a little bit, just because of how big of a player they are in the thing.
I can agree.
and they're not and they're like completely out. If my understanding is correct.
No, they're doing nothing.
They're not even doing like
No,
a
no
press conference. No
I mean,
anything.
there'll be some PlayStations there, but those are just third-party companies. That's
Right,
Not, that's not
right.
Sony. So
Right. Those are game devs that are bringing their games to the PlayStation. They'll of course have PlayStation.
yeah, it's like imagine this. Okay, forget like it feeling weird that when we're there, and weird not to have a press conference. When you guys are watching like the GameSpot and the IGN live streams, they are not going to have any Sony games or people on those stages talking about their games because they're just not there.
yeah, they'll have third-party devs.
They'll have third
possibly.
parties. They'll have Ubisoft,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'll rearrange. They'll find enough content. Nintendo
yeah.
Nintendo and Microsoft will be featured much more. But like Sony's not there. That's a big deal.
I think it's going to be, to a certain extent, it's going to be worse. Just because, again, of how big of an influence in the gaming industry Sony is.
Yeah, if you only care about one company, like if you only care about Nintendo, then
This could be huge for Nintendo.
Well, and they also the big thing is I think if you only care about Nintendo, then you already went through what you felt made it worse, which is when Nintendo doesn't do press conferences anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you either love that they don't do it anymore or you hate it, but that's just the way it's been now. Sony fans have to come to acceptance that we're not going to have that. Now we're going to have our own State of Play directs. Still the PlayStation experience. But without E3, nobody knows how Sony's going to handle big announcements because they've never done it outside of E3, really. How's PlayStation? I mean, yeah, they announced PlayStation 4 outside of E3, but they really used E3 to solidify PlayStation 4's place. And granted, if PlayStation 5 is not coming to the end of next year, then they could still use E3 next year.
Mm-hmm.
But
if that last for the state of play was any indication, I feel like them not being at E3 could be a small hindrance, Sony in the long.
And you're definitely right. It could be a small hindrance, and you never know. The thing is they could pull out this year, realize, okay, this was a mistake, and possibly come back next year. It's.
Well, I also wonder the Sony thing. I always wondered if it was always meant to just be a 1-year absence, because I'm not saying Sony doesn't have any games coming, but they do have PlayStation 5 coming, and I wonder if they aren't going to be announcing any new games until they announce PlayStation 5. So with that being the case, they don't want to be at E3 and have it feel like last year where they had a couple announcements, but for the most part, their presence to a lot of Sony fans, from what I understand, felt like a dud.
Their presence was what, maybe
the booth looked cool, but
the booth was awesome, but
Spider-Man's great, but how they did their presentation, having to like move the entire audience from one stage to another stage,
Yeah.
and then all the musical performances, which I get they're gaming related, but nobody knew what they were because you hadn't announced the game yet. So everyone's just confused and not even knowing what's happening. Not even, oh, that's Last of Us 2 music? How the hell are we supposed to know?
Right. And also, too, though, I mean, for me, it didn't seem like they had a whole lot of play area, like actual playable things in their booth.
They had a lot of Spider-Man kiosks. But the problem was, like, half their booth was
playable Spider-Man.
Well, no,
three
not just
quarters.
that. No, okay,
But-
so their booth, they had the same amount of floor space as Nintendo did.
Right.
But their booth, if you remember last
had
year,
that big
half of it was just a big area to sit and watch their show
Trailers,
on the screen,
yeah.
and watch the trailers, and then when they would do their little live show, which
Right.
their live show wasn't very good.
Right.
Nothing like Treehouse. They had no idea what they were doing. And heck, remember they had an intermission.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Was that a 45-minute intermission?
Yeah,
In
something
the
like
middle
that,
of the middle of a press conference?
Yeah, something like that.
40, like
Yeah.
they ran out of things to talk about 3 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bad. And I think Sony's like, look, one, we're out of touch. We know after last year we realized we're out of touch. We don't know how we wanted to find a better way to engage people at E3, and we totally bombed it so bad we don't even want to try this year. And we know the big thing that's going to excite people is the next PlayStation. And we're not ready to announce it this summer.
Right.
Maybe we want to wait for Microsoft to make their first move.
Right.
So we know what to do, because Microsoft's got to worry about Google now. So Microsoft's going to be trying to be like, look, we have a streaming service. Oh, and by the way, if you're worried about us abandoning gamers, here's our next Xbox.
Right,
It feels like
right.
we're going to get the next Xbox at E3. So even if it's not coming this year, it doesn't matter. They're going to talk about it, or at least mention it, because they want to reassure the audience that they're not abandoning them for streaming.
I get the feeling that they're setting up for next E3 to be
That's what I think.
Straight PlayStation 5.
I think that too. I think what it is I don't think the next Xbox is landing until the end of next year. But I think they're going to announce it this year.
Though I think
And
they'll
I
announce
think Sony's
PlayStation
like,
5 too,
look,
but-
we're going to announce the PlayStation 5 either at the end of this year at PlayStation Experience, or they're going to wait and they're going to do what they did last time, where they announce it before, in the spring of next year, as its own announcement event, and then they blow you out of the water at the next E3. But again, one thing I do think is going to happen. I think Sony might be done with press conferences.
Possible.
After how horribly they've been handling them, I think they're done.
Possibly.
They're going to do it all pre-recorded, which, by the way, is the smarter move and the cheaper move.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
just look what happened at PAX.
Oh, my gosh. Are we even going to mention that?
I don't know. I mean, that was...
I feel so bad for Gearbox. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Gearbox had this presentation at PAX where they were showing off a bunch of games. That's where Borderlands 3 came from. That's where we got the Bulletstorm announcement for Switch. And, yeah, there were parts of it that were just lame, okay? Like, parts of it that if you're there, it might have seemed funny. Like, when he was doing the magic trick, a lot of people making fun of Randy Pitcher for the magic trick. It took way too long, and it definitely was obvious the trick was pulled off because they planted people to do it. And, okay, cool, whatever. Like, it was lame. Okay, I admit it was lame. But if you're there, like, I'm sitting there like, well, I kept thinking to myself, imagine that Shigeru Miyamoto is on stage doing this right now, and it's super lame. But as a fan of Nintendo, I would be enjoying the hell out of that if I was sitting in that room. I would be enjoying the hell out of this super corny, long,
Right.
drawn out, dumb joke of a magic trick that everyone knows how it's done. And as that's going on, they finally start to get to some of their big announcements. And then this is a live, this happens live. They couldn't get the video to play right. It just kept skipping and then stopping.
Borderlands Ultra.
Yeah, for the Ultra HD, we didn't even see it. We literally, they were going to show off a trailer for Borderlands Ultra HD. We didn't even get to see it, and it was never shown.
Oh, jeez.
Because they couldn't get the video to play. It would start up, skip, stop, crash. They couldn't get it to play, and it turns out that now granted, and this is like they were mad. Randy Pitchford was mad because it turns out that they were using PAX's equipment, right? Because it was PAX's showroom, PAX's TVs and monitors, so use all of PAX's own equipment, right? That makes sense. They're the ones that set everything up. It's their show. They obviously know what they're doing, right?
They're a tech company. You'd figure they know what they're doing.
No.
Well, not tech company. Tech thing. Tech show.
Technologically capable place, anyways. And Randy Pitchford literally is on stage saying, "Do we need to bring our own stuff?" And it's like, he's saying this live to tens of thousands of people online and then 3,000 people in the room. He's literally looking off stage, being like, "Sorry, we didn't. This is their equipment, not ours. Next time we're gonna bring our own stuff." And then they have him like screaming at him from off stage. But granted, that's extreme. But I don't think, I think things like that, things like what Sony did last year with the intermission.
Mm-hmm.
Things like EA deciding, you know what, we're not even going to do that because people look at how people negatively reacted. Even though they had some cool announcements, there's a lot of negative reactions. Maybe they look at it as what we need to do: shorten it, make it concise, pre-record it, no mistakes, no concern about crowd reaction, ruining the flow of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, cool, we want to announce that mobile game in it, fine, but you're not going to end up having a match happening live on stage. It'll just be a quick mention and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, there'll be a lull. Oh my God, when's the next thing coming? Oh, it came 2 seconds later. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's got it on lock. They've had years to perfect it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Treehouse. I'm sorry, the Treehouse to me is the greatest thing that ever happened to E3. When I'm at home, wow, that makes E3. I don't have to watch anything else.
Right.
The Treehouse is so good. They're funny. That's just me as a Nintendo fan, of course. If you want to care about other content, there's a lot of other stuff to watch. But E3 to me is better in some ways and worse in others. It's going to be worse without Sony, without doubt.
Right.
It's going to be. It is awkward. EA not being there and having their own event that happens on different days that happen way the hell away from where it's at.
That's over in
weird.
Hollywood.
I know gamers like it because it's easier for gamers to go.
Yeah.
And you don't have to spend $250 to go, but it's still weird.
Yeah.
I personally haven't bought an EA game since 4. So
since what?
Since 4.
Thor.
Spore.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
They have a new Dragon Age coming, and that's the only thing I really care about right now. Oh, and I always care about Star Wars. I'm just waiting for the one I'm going to buy. Mm-hmm. If they ever make one, I'm going to buy.
Yeah. Battlefront was kind of fun to play when I was at EA last time.
Battlefront 2 is fun. But, man, they try building around loot boxes and then cutting the loot boxes out, but because they cut all the loot boxes out, then the game really wasn't balanced and it was missing all this content and all this stuff. And when they made Battlefront the first time, if you wanted a complete experience, you had to buy $50 worth of DLC. And they're like, oh, we won't do that again, but now we're going to cut content for loot boxes. And
hopefully they've learned and gotten it right now.
Well, what I want EA to realize is that if they just make a damn good Star Wars game, it's going to sell so well you're not going to need any of this bullcrap.
Bring back a Rogue Squadron.
Battlefront 2 still sold phenomenally well in spite of all the controversy. Imagine if it never had the controversy.
Yeah.
And it just delivered on the content.
Yeah. No, I get you.
And they have a lot of goodwill with gamers to make up with Star Wars because EA is on the precipice of losing that exclusivity. Guarantee you, there's a reason that the contract has not been extended yet.
Mm-hmm.
Disney's waiting for EA to stop messing up.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we believe in you. We see the games. They look beautiful. They play well at times. You need to stop screwing around and actually
Right.
Make people happy and watch what happens. You see how well these Star Wars movies were doing?
Right.
Make people happy, and
Right.
they will just show up.
Right.
You don't need to milk them. You don't need to rush the game and not have enough content. Like, do it right, and they will come.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I know EA doesn't want to lose it. There's too much money to be made in Star Wars.
God,
They don't want to lose that exclusivity license, but just like they'll never give up the NFL one.
Right.
The only way that would ever happen is if the government got involved and said that it creates a monopoly.
Right.
But monopoly, well, you can still make football games. You just
right,
can't make
exactly.
NFL ones.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a monopoly.
Or the NFL decides to
Just
not
wait.
re-up it.
I really hope one of these other leagues gets a little popular, like the XFL or the AFL or whatever's
The
going on.
AAF.
Yeah, the AAF. Like, it'd be cool if they did, because then 2K can come back and be like, hey,
Yes.
hey, and they
Here's
can
a
put
real
people on. They
football
can
game.
put people on that There's, I mean, it's basically like minor leagues,
Yeah.
except more violent.
Yeah.
Tecmo Bowl HD.
Tecmo Bowl HD. Yes.
Football.
Yes.
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 I think it's gonna do it then. I don't think we have anything else to talk about, unless you guys have anything else you want to bring up.
That's it.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, man, thank you guys for tuning in. I enjoyed this episode a lot. Hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed the 3 topics we had. I want to thank Rob for being here, of course, and being a backer on Patreon and helping support in many other ways. I seem to recall lots of super chats.
One or two.
Just a couple. Thank you so much as well, man, for your support. People like you and like all of our patrons out there and everyone who shares our videos and just even enjoys them and bothers to watch them. You guys make it possible to do what I do. This, isn't just a passion for me. It isn't just a joy. It's also kind of sort of my career. And I appreciate you guys making it possible, making this podcast weekly, enabling us to look as halfway decent as we do anyways, doing these videos. If you think we look bad, any critique I ever hear of the podcast, I'm like, go back and watch the early episodes.
Oh God.
You have critiques now. Go see where we came from. Okay? We will, yes, years from now, we'll look back on these episodes and think they're bad. But
Talk about cringeworthy.
go back and watch episode 1 at NintendoPrime.net. That's
Yes.
the only place you can find it at.
Yes.
You can also find the podcast on iTunes, on Podbean, on the Google Play Store through the Google Play app, and right here on YouTube. So cool. Oh, Patreon. Can't forget Patreon as well.
Yeah.
You can you can watch it as we record it on Thursday nights if you are a $10 and up backer. Otherwise, you can get the audio version early on Sundays for $5 a month, or just wait for it to come out on Mondays at 10 a.m. on YouTube. So
Or be on it for 20.
what?
Or be on it for
Oh
20.
yeah, you can be on it for 20. Or be on it for a lot more than 20.
Yeah.
Like Rob, I think you're actually at the what tier are you at? The advertiser tier? The
$150.
Yeah, the tier that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I think it has him listed in our top tier, which is the advertising tier. I mean, if you want, what? Hey, here's your chance. Advertise something. I don't know what you want to advertise, but
Sub to PewDiePie.
oh jeez. I was wondering when someone was going to sneak one of those in.
Yeah.
I've been avoiding it this whole
Yeah.
time. Oh my gosh.
Well,
All right, you know what?
that made the podcast interesting. There you go.
That was a nice end to the podcast.
There it
You can
was.
follow me on Twitter at NintyPrime. You can follow Eric on Twitter,
At emo8790.
and you actually got a little bit of a following for yourself now.
Well,
I'm seeing your tweets get retweeted and liked without me doing anything
you want to know why?
because of the giveaway.
That's the giveaway.
Awesome. Rob, do you want people following you anywhere?
No, you can't follow me anywhere.
Well, geez.
I mean,
You know what I've noticed? That's like a common thing. I should probably stop asking. None of the patrons are like, no, you can't follow me anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
The only person that milks it is Darren. Darren milks the hell out of it.
Maybe if I ever create my own podcast one.
there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. There we
Yeah.
go. Well, it was nice having you on, man. And
thank you.
hey, if you're on again next month, you'll get to choose some of the topics. And heck, I'll probably even let our patrons maybe take the lead on those topics.
Yeah.
Because it's their topics.
Yeah, right, for sure. Right, for sure.
So,
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll catch you next week for episode 103.